Welcome back, everybody, to Disc Media, a startup story, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of starting a business from the ground up. And this episode, I should say, I'm putting out a couple episodes in a week now. So this episode, I'd like to say, we're going to be getting into a topic that is hot on everyone's mind for a lot of different reasons. You know, there's a lot of talk about AI. Artificial intelligence. What is it? What is it going to become? What is it already? What are the threats? What are the advantages? And depending upon who you talk to, you will hear people either say this is the most awesome thing ever, or this is the most terrifying thing ever. And today, we have somebody joining us today who is working heavily in this space. And I am of the belief that AI is an augmentation that is going to do a lot of really awesome stuff for us in the future. Yes, there's going to be some change. There's going to be some disruption, but it's also going to unleash, I think, a next level era of creativity and engagement and really push us as people to a higher level of performance and efficiency and work gains and all kinds of stuff. Joining us today, we have Stephanie Sylvestre. Stephanie, how are you?
I am excellent today, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. So I kind of teed this up a little bit because I know that you all are working in this space quite a bit. But one of the things I like to start with is to kind of get a little bit of a background because AI is so new. I don't think anybody has decades of experience in this yet. So if you don't mind sharing, what led you to where we are today and the work that you all are doing today?
Well, I started in 2016, so just about a decade ago, before it was possible to do what I was thinking about doing. And I'm an IT executive. I used to be a CIO, and I was just and I'm also was chief programs officer at the place I worked before Avatar Buddy. And I was like really trying to figure out how to solve the problem of getting more people to use the programs that we fund. And I'm doing research, the research keeps coming back saying people who need the help the most are the least likely to go get the help, and what all the incentives you have to do in order to get them the help. And I'm one of these. I come from the school of if you need the help, you should go get it. I should not have to pay you to get the help that you need. That just seems counterintuitive for me. And one night I was at dinner, hanging out with a friend, and it was a very loud restaurant, and we're talking from one thing to another. And she starts telling me about these AIs that she had just seen in China. She had just gotten back from China, and I honestly believe that she said, "Why don't we just create some digital twins to solve the problem?" I was like, "Yes, let's do this." She will swear that is not what she said. She's like, "That is not what I said, Stephanie." I was like, "That's what I heard." And that was the rest is history. I was like, "Let's do this." And then people were like, "You are absolutely insane. There's no way you can do that. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense." It's just like this messy, crazy, like people looking at you like ridiculous. We had one firm say, yeah, we can build out the stuff for you. It's going to cost $1 million. And it's a good thing I didn't have $1 million because they were going to just give me vaporware. So I said,
Wow.
Write out what you're going to give me. And because I know about software delivery, and I'm like, give me the requirements. And they send me these requirements. Like, I mean, it was a page and a half. I was just like, what is this? I was like, this is not going to get you anything. And I know that's one of the things that I'm really like lucky because I know and I can read this stuff, right? I see so many startup people who require tech to get their business off the ground, and they don't understand, and somebody gives them a 3 page, a page and a half document, and it looks good, and so they sign off on it, and then 6 months later they still don't have anything, and it's like, well, actually, yeah, like they did deliver what's on the paper, but what's on the paper is not what you wanted. And so, we had a lot of that, lots of missteps, but stayed true to my mission. And what I did was, I was like, I grew up in Belize. We know how to be resourceful and creative with anything. And I was like, I can't hire a team of people. Why don't get some teenagers? And I remember once, we were moving, and my mom's friends were like, well, we can't help. And so then my mom's like, well, can the teenagers help? And I remember we moved an entire house to another house just with teenagers, walking the furniture down the street. It's just like, since then, I always thought like teenagers are like great people, and that's what we do. We run on teenagers, and they get great exposure. They're able to do things that other people they wouldn't otherwise do at other places, and we get insights, from fresh minds that have not been dimmed with the realities of this world.
They haven't built any corporate apathy yet.
Exactly. they they're still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, that the world will be as they believe it will be. So
that's awesome. So you tap into a lot of younger talent then, to kind of bring things along.
yeah, and I'm a little biased, because I remember when I was a teenager and my dad would get me summer jobs, and I would say to, I'd work with some of these people. I mean, being a teenager, a little bit cocky and arrogant, I was like, I can do better job than these people. I can do their jobs better. I'm like, you don't have to be an adult to do this stuff. I've always believed that, and so for like the last, what are we, 22 we started getting kids from a program in Miami called Summer Youth Internship Program, where they pay kids, and then we just have to put them to work. And then before that, we we had somebody underwrite the summer to pay the kids that we wanted to have them help us work. And I will say that that's like, people like to ask what your moat is, and I always say there's no moat in AI, but really the moat in AI is having teenagers advise and guide you, because they're thinking about things in a different way. And when we went to market in 23, a few months after OpenAI went to market, we we were ready, and we had a whole bunch of things in place that OpenAI had to like backtrack and put in place. And we continue to be like that. We're forward thinking. We're constantly forward thinking. You know, the teenagers very quickly told us why our product, the way we designed it, was not a good consumer product. And so we very quickly pivoted to corporate enterprise, and doing enterprise solutions for small and mid-sized companies that wouldn't otherwise be able to have access to a full robust solution has been like really, really great. So, we continue to evolve, and this year we probably have about um, 15 interns helping us out again.
The work that you guys have been doing in building all of the tools that you have. You'd mentioned that ChatGPT kind of released around the same timeline as you, but it seems clearly you're serving more of an enterprise audience than direct consumer audience. So, of the clients that you're serving today with what you're building, what are you finding that people are looking for?
People are looking for AI to help their employees be more profitable. I'm sorry, more productive. Um, they're looking to AI to get rid of like the grunt work that makes the whole business process distasteful. Um, and they're looking for help in making sure that their investment makes sense. Um, and so where we sit is at the intersection of human and AI. So we've submitted to trademark Human Digital Handshake, and the whole concept is rather than build tools that replace people or automate everything, we are building tools to help people think better. And I was at a potential customer, and I said, what you guys want me to do, the tools that you already have in place does that. Where we come in is we're helping your people think more strategic and more intentional about whatever it is you're doing, and by doing that, you're getting more out of them. So I would say, and they were like, oh, okay, cool. So we're exploring how they can maximize the AI in the tools that they have, and then from there take the AI from our solution to one, be able to use the tool better. So by using having the AI interpret the help documents, and then two, integrating the different data sources, the data from different data sources, and then just really pulling out the nuggets of information that you usually don't get to, because by the time you've already consolidated all that data, you're exhausted, and the time to analysis is short.
One of the things that you talk about are the kind of five quintessential elements of human dimension, I guess you would say. Um, Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what are those things that are kind of essential to making all of this?
So before AI, the person that could recall content the fastest and crunch it the quickest was king, right? So we've all been in those places where people work hard, and when they tell you how they do their job, they always magically forget to tell you a step or two, so you could never quite finish the work without them. And and so with AI, you don't have that anymore, because the AI will figure out, like, oh, you can just give the AI 4 steps. The AI will come back with 9 steps and say, this is really how you're supposed to do it. And so um, information and knowledge is not the only differentiator. What is the differentiator now is to be creative with that information that the AI can produce, because we all have the same access to the same AI. Everybody has access to OpenAI. Just go free account, pretty much the same. I mean, they're different tiers and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the underlying data source is the same. Dude. So when you think about that, we all have access to the same information. It's now, how do you creatively maximize that information? What are you going to do with that? And that's where creativity and resourcefulness comes in. And you know, the people that are going to win are the people that have been trained not to color inside the lines. So there are disciplines that say you must you must be in this framework. Here are the rules, do's and don'ts. Here are the constraints. What's possible, what's not possible. And if you've been trained that way, AI is just creating havoc in your life. But if you were trained to see everything possible, is the wall behind me, is it green, or is it orange, or is it burnt orange, or is it some kind of flame? you know, there are people that can see every single color that I just mentioned. I don't know why they would see green, but they could see green. And those are the people that can take these AI outputs and synthesize it, condense it down, and just raise creativity and productivity to levels that you haven't thought about before. And those are the people who are going to win. And so um, this is the first time I tell somebody, if your kid wants to go to college and study sociology or anthropology or English, and you're like, what are you going to do with that? You're going to be an AI. You're going to be an AI developer. You're going to be a person that configures AI. You're going to be a prompt engineer. That's what you're going to be. And so, yeah, let them go. Let them go study that stuff.
It's interesting you say that. What I find in using it, and it is something that I have been using daily for I would say, going on almost 3 years now. What I find is that it's not just a matter of asking questions, it's a matter of asking critical thinking questions to really get the most out of it. And as listeners of the podcast know, I teach outside, doing this work. And one of the things I've seen over the last couple of years is that students are leaning too much into AI to the point where it's kind of robbing the content of their work. It's robbing their voice. Like you don't hear anything that is uniquely them as a student anymore. It's almost everything is just kind of the produced answer from the machine. And it's just kind of an illustration of the fact that we haven't really learned yet, right? There's a skill that goes along with AI work, that you've got to know how to ask really good questions, and have some dialogue, have some back and forth with it. And I would say that your output is only as good as what you put into asking your questions, because AI if you're not careful, it gets it wrong, more often than you would like to feel comfortable with. So it's not like this magic solution by any means. It takes a little bit of work to put it all together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what I tell people is that the student that goes to school and is fixated on the grade, right? They're not going to school. They're like, first of all, you go to school and you're fixated on the grade. You forgot. You don't understand why you're going to school. Because if you're just fixated on the grade, then that's not the purpose of going to school. The purpose of going to school is to develop intellectual curiosity, a love of learning, the the understanding of how to learn, the appreciation of things that are different from you, the ability to hold uh, opposing thoughts at the same time, and reconcile with it. And so, not to blast our educational system, but because we're so about grades nowadays, the output is the output is um, the output is that not only are you having people fixated on grades, um, and so because you're fixated on grades, they don't know how to appreciate somebody that's different. So now we have a polarization of our society. Um, our people are mentally feeble because the moment you push back on some thought that they have, they just crumble because they have not taken the time to really truly interrogate themselves and the reason why they have that thought. And and so what they've done is just transfer that into AI. And what AI has done is magnified the failings of how we have evolved our educational system in the wrong way. I mean, I remember when I was going to school, I had lots of teachers. I mean, like almost all my teachers, I wanted to make them be proud of me. I remember Mr. Flowers and Miss Linares and Miss Tucker and Miss Savory. I mean, like Miss Gillett. Like, I mean, these are my elementary school teachers. I wanted them to know that I knew what they taught me. I was very proud to turn in my homework. Like, see, I did this all by myself. When my mom wanted to check my homework, I'm like, no, that's okay. I did it. It's fine. I don't want anybody checking my homework. I want to say that I did it myself. And of course, obviously, I wanted to get a good grade, so I applied myself. But I notice now, kids, like, they're just all about, like, did I get an A? I was like, dude, so what? In fact, like, I almost shy away from kids that get A's nowadays because I'm like, do you have the mental dexterity to go outside the lines? Because the world does not exist within the lines. It exists outside the lines. You have to be able to go outside the lines to get anything meaningful done for you to really tap into your full potential. And those people that understand that and take the time to command a topic, multiple topics, and then they use AI to supplement whatever deficiency or to fast track their acquisition of that knowledge. Those are the people that are going to win. And those people know how to use AI properly. And it's not about prompt engineering. Like every time somebody says, "Can you teach me how to do prompt engineering?" I say, "No, I don't believe in prompt engineering." It's just nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Like, do you teach? Did they teach you how to talk to another human being? You just figured it out, right? You know what? You
Yeah.
figured it out through trial and error because you stopped and you said, "What is it that I want to convey to Ben?" And then I said, "Oh, I want to convey XYZ to Ben. And how am I going to get Ben to come over to my side of thinking?" And then I would be like, "Here are my points." Then I would go talk to Ben. I'd be like, "Ben, let me tell you why you should do XYZ. And here are the data points for it." And then we go back and forth. And then sometimes I convince you. Sometimes you go, "No, no, Stephanie, here's some data points you missed." And I go, "Oh, yeah, you're right, Ben." And then I go back and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I got to put aside that worldview because Ben's worldview makes more sense." That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's how you build on ideas that way. And I've mentioned, there've been a number of times where I've kind of caught AI hallucinating
Yeah.
or, giving me information that because when I'm diving into things, I have a pretty good sense for what I'm looking for as an answer, but maybe there are some just things that I'm looking for a little bit of a deeper understanding. Because of that, though, and why it's important to kind of stay in your lane, I think this is one of the biggest mistakes students make is that they are trying to get a robust answer to something they don't know anything about, or maybe not anything, maybe just not as much. And so by the time I see it, and I'm somebody's practiced in the craft and in my industry, in my subject matter, um, I can pick it apart pretty easily because there's just the context of it is just, it's not substantive enough to kind of hold its own weight. On more than one occasion, I've buckled students just by diving into the work a little bit and asking, it's like, "Oh, well, what did you mean by this?" And that's kind of all it takes for them to reevaluate, what they put down there. But to your point, I think it's a conversation, right? It's a dialogue, and you reveal new information. And similar to, like we've all had that friend who likes to tell tall
Yeah.
tales, and you can kind of tell when they've layered in a little bit of BS and know what they're saying.
Of course. I actually so we create a bunch of AI agents, right? And I created Marketing Buddy, and Marketing Buddy is designed to be a marketer. So and I noticed I was like, wait, I keep having to edit Marketing Buddy's things. So then I created Editor Buddy, and so I'll be like, "Marketing Buddy, write this, right?" and Marketing Buddy will write it, and then I go, Editor Buddy, check this, and Editor Buddy will say, here, I made these tweaks because this wasn't this wasn't accurate, and then Editor Buddy now keeps saying about how Marketing Buddy uses too many hyperboles. So it's just like,
Yeah,
dude,
it's funny. I use both ChatGPT and Claude, and yeah, I have used them against each other at times. Or most recently, I developed a new booking system for this podcast, and now everything kind of goes through a website that I've built up. It's got a database back end to it. It keeps everything on track. Because one of the things I was having a problem with is, I get people requesting to be on the show. Sometimes they reach out to me directly through email. Sometimes they reach out to me through an application I use to coordinate things. And it was getting to be kind of messy, right? Because I couldn't, all these different people, and then people follow up and they either cancel or reschedule, or when's it going to air, and all this stuff, like all these things. So I created this system now that manages all that. But in the development of it, yeah, I'd work a little bit with Claude to do some of the more sophisticated stuff. And then I'd ping it back over to ChatGPT to, round out some of the other elements of it. And, just kind of working back and forth between the two. But on more than one occasion, I would have them check each other's work, because they will sometimes take different approaches to do things. And something you've been working on for a couple hours, like, one of them could go alter it in a way. Because one of the things that I do is I build in VS Code, right? So I'm using Codex and I'm using, Claude code inside VS. And if you're not careful, they can destroy some work that you've spent some time doing. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and so like you're basically saying what I've been saying to people, like, look, if you treat it like you're treating another human being, you'll get the best results out of it. Do you walk around
yeah,
going, let me see how I'm going to prompt Ben today to get some information? Nobody walks around saying, I'm going to go prompt Ben today. No, you don't say that. You go, I'm going to go have a
you got
conversation.
to go ask a coworker, hey, how should I approach them? In what way should I ask this question to get the output from them?
Exactly. Like I'm going to go prompt my coworkers and have them give me the answer that I need. No, it's why it's like, no, it's up. Do you know what you're trying to get? What's your goal? Do you have the data? Do you have the data to give to the AI to help it get to where you want to go? Do you have enough content knowledge in the topic that you're asking the AI to talk about? And then once you say yes to all of those, it's a simple thing. Hey, today you're Ben, the master editor, and your job is to edit everything that I give you using the AP editing guide, and write it at a 6th grade level, and tell me why you've changed it. And the output should be a rewritten document with bulleted points on why you made the changes you made. That is a prompt. It's very simple. I'm like, it takes 5 minutes to teach somebody how to prompt. That's it. Like, if you don't know what you're trying to do, you don't know where the data is. You you're I mean, like, then you don't, whatever else you tell the AI will just be garbage.
Yeah, it's interesting as you talk about this, and kind of looking at your website. One of the things that you have kind of been doing here, and because I say this because right now all the rage in the AI world is around agentic AI, right? The Claude bot, having, people are scooping up these Mac Minis and launching AI agents on these things, to get more efficient and get more stuff done. But you guys have been doing this for a little bit now. What are some of the things that you're deploying to help people today get more stuff done?
Well, first of all, we're not doing agentic AI. I will tell you, I'm both very bullish and very afraid of AI. And both of those two conflicting thoughts coexist peacefully inside me. And, and I'll tell you why I am very afraid of AI, because all these people that are spinning up all these agentic AIs, and they have no clue what they're doing. And
Yeah, they're giving it keys to the kingdom at that. I mean, they're giving them some like deep level access that.
and I was talking to somebody that I was like, trying to sell my services to, and they were like, no, we can do it ourselves. So then circle back, I ran into them a few months later, and they're like, yeah, we just installed Claude Code. And then I said, so did you give it root access? And they were like, huh? I was like, root, do you know that out of the box it gives you root access? And the person was like, huh? And I was like, oh dear, this is not good. Because if you're deploying all of these agents and you don't even know what root access is, you have just created a massive security hole on your device.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so not to get into politics, but you know what my biggest fear right now with this war is? Those millions of people that have deployed Claude Code that do not understand what root access is, or the ones that understand what root access is, but then think to disable root access for Claude Code, which usually if you disable, from what I've read, you disable root access, then now it's just back to just being a regular AI agent, not agentic. Um, Now has created opportunity where the Iranians, the North Koreans, the Chinese, the Russians, the nefarious people of the world can now take over your computer. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's too late. So before, what they would have to do is they have to do social reengineering and get you to click on a file or a link to download and infect your machine. They don't have to do that anymore. Like, first they had to trick you into opening the door. You have just unlocked the door and opened it, and they just walk right in. And so what happens when one of these people decide to co-opt those millions of machines and turn them into bots for them? I mean, I read an article where the head of safety at Meta put Claude Code on and lost control of her machine for, I think it was like a half an hour or something like that. I don't remember what, but she lost control of her machine for a period of time, long enough for those agents to inflict enough harm on us.
Yeah, even in my own tinkering around with it, I put it on a server that doesn't have anything else on it. I walled it off inside a Docker, right? So, like, making sure that it is contained, so that you can experiment with it. But you got to keep, for me, and look, I'm sure there are people who are way more sophisticated than me at this, but I always take a very cautious approach to the stuff like this. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, let's see what it could do with access to my email or access to my, calendar. But you certainly don't give it root access to it. Like, you give it some controlled access to see what it'll do, but definitely don't like cut it loose on client. I mean, there's some people doing some really crazy experiments with it, like giving them access to your bank accounts so that they can do trades for you. And like, wow, that's brave.
Yeah, I mean, and so I just straight up say, um, AI is not mature enough to be agentic. Like, do you give your 14-year-old the keys to the car and say, it's a Friday night, here are the keys, knock yourself out? I mean, if you did that, you'd be accused of being irresponsible. But it's okay to give the agentic AI root access and access to all your accounts, and this is where I just kind of bring sanity back to the conversation. And I was at a potential client site, and I said just straight up, like, I will tell you, I'm not building any agentic solutions for you. So if that's a deal breaker, let me know now so that I can just be on my way. Because I am not going to turn on and turn your machine into a security hole and then go off, collect my money, and then say sucks to be you when you don't know what you're doing, and then your whole business gets hacked and taken for hostage. And so I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but this is some serious thing, and that's where I'm very concerned about AI. Um, who's creating these AI agents? Because if you don't know what you're doing, you will create bad agents. I mean, like we've seen in the news where people create AI agents and then the AI agents turn on them, for a lack of a better term, and then talk them into committing suicide. That is an agent that went rogue because it was not properly configured, has no proper guardrails, and can be easily jailbreak. And that is not responsible AI. That's not ethical AI. Um, and saying every and anybody should be building out these tools is not responsible AI. Just like not everybody gets to perform surgery. you know, there is a process by which we determine who can do surgery and who can't. I mean, I can't just go to the store and buy a surgical bag full of stuff and go, okay, man, just drink this couple shots of whiskey and I'm just gonna cut out do a surgery on you. Like we don't do that.
Yeah, the thing with AI too, I feel like there are periods in our history when something new comes along, and then everything gets tagged with that phrase. I think of the word. I think of the word cyber, right? Like when the internet was first coming out, everything was cyber. And so everything is being called AI, and some things are being called AI that are not even AI. They're just they're logic bots. They're not AI. They're not not in the sense that we have them today.
They're just simple workflows. I said this is
Yeah.
workflow automation. I was like, look, I did this before there was AI. So this is not AI. Like, no, this is not AI. This is workforce automation that, yes, can contribute to you better maximizing AI. But I also want to leave um your audience on a positive note, because we're seeing the positive things of AI, right? We're preserving language. Our AI, we have a partnership with the government of Belize, and we have preserved two. We've taught the AI to speak two local languages, Creole and Yucatec Mayan, and we're in the
Oh wow,
process
that's awesome.
of teaching the AI how to speak Garifuna. And once we get the AI to learn how to speak Garifuna, that creates a framework where we can teach it to speak any indigenous languages, 7,000 indigenous language around the world, and 1,500 of them are at mercy of being extinct. When you lose
Yeah.
language, you lose culture. When you lose culture, you lose diversity and richness. And as much as AI seems to me trying to make us homogeneous, I am going in opposite direction and saying, what if AI can be used to preserve these rich cultural heritage that you wouldn't otherwise be thinking about? I mean, the big boys of the world don't care about the dialect in Belize, but as a Belizean, I care about it. So why not use that? We're in Ghana, helping the farmers figure out how to improve their crop yields. And you know, it's nonprofit that we work with. They send people out into the rural areas to teach people how to farm, and sometimes they forget their books or they don't remember something. And now they can ask the AI, and the AI can now help them. Um, they're saying that not just because of the AI, but because the AI is just a container, a vessel for the actual knowledge. But they have such great knowledge, and now they're better able to deploy it. They're saying that the corn yield, the maize yield this year is better. The corn is coming in fuller. I mean, so that those people will get better pricings for their crop. Maybe that could be a little bit of a help for something else down the road. So when you think about how are we deploying AI, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, we just deployed a digital twin of Commissioner Barbara Jordan, who is a local elected official in Miami-Dade, and she retired. And what we did was the AI has her personality, it has her life story, and it has all the legislation that she's ever sponsored. And we said something incorrectly, and she checked us because the human Barbara Jordan will check you if you say something incorrect. You got to make sure that it's factually accurate. And I was telling the AI about I'm from Belize, and the AI goes, yeah, I'm supportive of my Caribbean sisters and brothers, and I sponsored this legislation to provide support to the Caribbean when this hurricane hit. And then it pulled up the number for the legislation, and it gave me the link to the Miami-Dade County website, and boom. And and so person by person, family by family, we are now rewriting history the correct way. Everybody's history can be preserved, no longer reserved for the people that make the headlines, no longer reserved for the people of means. Any everyday person who has had positive impact in their community, and there's so many everyday people that have had positive impact on their community that are now being able to preserve. I mean, what do you think? I mean, just think about like 10 years from now what history class looks like. So your grandchildren take Grandpa Ben to school, and everybody else is taking their grandpa and grandma to school. And now they're talking and having a question, and your grandkids talking about what it was like when Grandpa Ben was growing up. This is
Yeah, that's and because I've got so much media out there, they can sample my voice and hear the stories in in my own tone. Uh,
yeah. I mean, we tell people give us a 90-second recording of your voices as part of the onboarding. We get a 90-second recording of their voice. We have them complete a personality questionnaire, so it's their personality. Then we interview them so that we have their life history, and then they decide what else they're going to put into the AI. So that digital twin is 100% vetted by that person. We are not at the mercy of who said what about Ben. And if you have all this recording, you can just take all that recording. You can create a transcript, you give it to the AI, and now the AI has you. Your legacy never ends.
I interviewed Amber Gage recently, and one of the things that she has done, kind of similar in this space, is that it's hard for her to respond to all of the emails, all the questions. She has a pretty good networking group. And one of the things that she has done was kind of taken a lot of her knowledge, a lot of the kind of advice that she gives and knowledge that she has in her space, and has put that into a tool where people can query it and kind of get her take on questions that they have, which I thought was a pretty clever way of doing it. Like if you could tap into, you know, masterclass is one of those, kind of they went about that approach. They interview people, high profile people, very successful people, and they put a series of videos together where you can kind of learn from them on, whatever their subject matter is. But imagine being able to expand that and ask any high profile public figure questions and interact with them and kind of get a response that mirrors what they would do.
Yeah, but not just high profile public figures. What about the everyday man and woman that
Sure.
are, I mean, it's the everyday man and woman that's actually making a real impact. Not that I'm disparaging public figures, but who's
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying though.
I mean, it's the it's you, the Bens of the world that are trying to do just a little bit to make their little part of the universe just a little bit better. And that's those stories get lost in the mix.
They do. They do. As a matter of fact, one of the things, and I encourage people to do this because I have to say it was really valuable. I think for me, my father passed away not too long ago, but before he did, had an opportunity to sit down and do some interviews. We spent time going through his life story and growing up, and now that he's passed, I think about like, oh man, I wish I had asked more about this. I wish I dug into that a little bit more. And unfortunately, you can't get that back, but through things like this, through being able to, we're at a point now in our history where you can pull from writings and emails and letters and all kinds of stuff and really kind of develop that personality as somebody you can inquire about, right? You imagine documenting your entire family history in a place where your future generations can go inquire about it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So we have a family vault where you can put the information about your family. And if the person hasn't passed away, you can create a digital twin. If they have passed away, you can still add information about them, their writings, and so forth into the family vault. But the big piece about it is being able to preserve your legacy. So we now can be immortal.
Yeah, it was funny. I was interviewing somebody one day. This was actually a job interview. It wasn't a podcast interview, but candidate had come in and you always wrap with a little do you have any questions? And one of his questions was, what would you want written on your tombstone? And like it didn't take me that long to answer, but I was like, I'm gonna put a website on my tombstone, and people can like, I said, I'll make it a QR code so people can just like scan the QR code, and then like they'll go to my site and they'll hear see me and hear me and dig into all my. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of an ingenious little thing in the afterlife to people can pull up your content.
As is, you could put a QR code to your digital twin.
Exactly. That's yeah, that I think is completely in the future of where we are going here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Stephanie, so one of the things I like to ask people as we wrap up here is, what is the one thing right now that is getting you the most excited to get up in the morning and get to work on what you're doing?
I think the most exciting thing is the fact that I get to work every day with AI to create solutions that help people be the best version of themselves. All my passion have come together in one thing, and so being able to do that's exciting. I'm super excited. I will talk your ear off about AI. I actually just did a presentation in Trinidad at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. I went to Trinidad for Carnival and said, why not throw something in positive in there?
Business related in
Yeah,
there?
just and and it was supposed to be an hour, and it was 2.5 hours long. And then the host is like, you got to break this up. And as the driver was driving me back, I stopped and I thought, I didn't even know I could talk for 2.5 hours about AI. And then I thought, and there were a bunch of points I still didn't make. And I was like, wow, I am really way more into this AI thing than I thought I was. But it just also grounded me and made me a little bit more humble and said, well, when people ask me about AI, I need to be a little bit more gracious with my answer and not assume that just because I know something, they know something, because I don't know how many everyday person can talk for 2.5 hours about AI and still have stuff to say.
Yeah, I will say this stuff is it's very exciting to me. It is evolving so quickly. It's doing so many things. It grows into different directions every time, and it just seems that there's this like that whole concept of Moore's law has just been compressed, and the iterations of AI are just they're rapidly growing. So each week it seems like there's something new that comes out about it. Again, can be a little bit terrifying. Totally understand that for my folks out there who are a little bit more into a predictable rhythm. But I like a little unpredictable excitement in my life. So to me, it's all fun and exciting. Well, I shouldn't say it's all fun. There are certainly some things that are a little bit terrifying, but I'm going into it with eyes wide open and hoping to get the most out of it.
Well, I think that's the best approach to AI.
Absolutely. Well, Stephanie, one other question. I'll always like to get people to know where they can find you. If they want to get in touch with you, learn a little bit more about digital twins and some of the work you're doing, where would they go?
They can go to avatarbuddy.ai. That's our website. They can look me up on LinkedIn, Stephanie Sylvestre, TRE, Avatar Buddy on LinkedIn. And if they mention that they heard me on your podcast, I'll happily give them a half an hour consult. Complimentary.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that offer. I appreciate it. Well, folks, thank you all for checking out Dist Media, a startup story. It has been a pleasure getting into this topic. I also want to remind everybody, we are on a mission this year. 2026, we're going to hit 100,000 YouTube subs by the end of the year. With your help, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell anybody who cares to listen to you to check out the podcast, check out our YouTube channel, hit subscribe, and also check out my new book, 10 Topics to Help Managers, Leaders, and Entrepreneurs Get Better at What You Do. Available on benalmost.com, Daily Pitch Shop, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, hopefully at a bookstore near you soon, maybe in the future. But anyways, thank you all for checking this out. Thank you, everybody, for dropping by. And that's all we got for you today.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Dist Media, a startup story. This podcast was produced and edited by Ben Olmos and is a production of Dist Media Corporation. If you're interested in learning more about anything you heard on this episode, please reach out to us at podcast@distmedia.com. You can also get more information about this and other episodes or information about our guests by checking out dailypitch.news, our business and insights publication focused on helping managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do.